The StudioLive 24 Series 3 is a compact digital mixing powerhouse. The StudioLive 24 delivers the same 32-channel DSP, split-layer workflows, and over 20 mix buses as the StudioLive 32 in a smaller 24-channel frame. The StudioLive Series 3 family is about immense power and flexibility. It means choice in frame size and workflows. It means more options for multi-track recording and virtual sound check. It means no compromises in available DSP. With the StudioLive 24, you'll have the same multi-track recording without a computer, state-space modeled emulations of analog outboard gear, and flex mixes that can be changed between AUXs, subgroups, and matrix mixes. With Capture, we bridged the gap between the stage and the studio with simple one-touch recording that could then be opened in Studio One along with your complete mix scene. Now, that technology is integrated into the mixer itself. Pristine, uncompressed, multi-track recordings without a computer. Plugins that model vintage gear are a mainstay in the studio. Now, take those sounds live with vintage EQ and compressor model options available on every input channel. Of course, you also get them in Studio One with the new Series 3 Fat Channel plugin. 24 studio quality recallable X-Max preamps give your mix a clean and pristine sound. An additional 8 channels can be mixed in digitally with the built-in AVB networking, USB interface, or the multi-track SD card, all with complete fat channel processing in an elegant and compact frame. We've also included the same fat channel layout alongside a gorgeous 7-inch touchscreen to let you navigate with ease and precision. Take advantage of your mixing experience, an unprecedented level of workflow customization that makes the StudioLive Series 3 an extension of yourself and your way of mixing. This is a new era in digital mixing. This is StudioLive.
My name's Dave Glide. I'm the music director, musical arranger for the Concord Blue Devils. What PreSonus does is allows me and the Blue Devils to pursue our vision of what the show should really be in an unlimited way. The music doesn't need to be anything than you first imagined it could be. It integrates just seamlessly into what we're doing with PreSonus, and it just helps propel everything forward in a real creative way. We're depending on a lot of clarity in the audio of what we're doing, and so we always get really great comments on how clear things are. And with what we do, that's the name of the game. The spread of the cabinets, the ULT cabinets across the front, first and foremost, we're trying to get field coverage, which works really well for us in that configuration. Also, we're panning things across the array, because normally when we have a group moving, let's say the snare line, moving across, playing across the field, it's easy to follow those, to pan them through according to what speaker they're next to. So that makes it more realistic and natural. The technology does help push what we're doing, because we can do more musical layers that are important and are closer to real music instead of just a marching band or drum corps. Especially with the pit and the mallets and the marimbas, they can play for, we're going to get a lot more credit for sounding more, I'd say, symphonic or legitimate players. With the processing we can do with PreSonus, it lets them play more like orchestral players or traditional players. It sounds better over the PA, and we get noticed for more legitimate technique. You don't have to be a composer to make this work for you. It's working just as hard as you are, and you can realize you don't have to strip your music down, because we can bring out each layer with the technology. We are miking a lot of things and heavily producing things, but the goal is to make it sound transparent and natural, and it's easy with PreSonus because the flexibility's there.
I have a wonderful electronic invention I want you to see. It looks something like this.
Hey guys, it's Rick Nakvi, and we're here for a really special edition of PreSonus Live. If you've been following us at all, you can see we've been really busy. Within the last 2 months, we've put out 6 new products. So we're going to be talking about those 6 products in detail today, and our special guests are going to be the actual product managers that came up with the concept and really designed these products. So we're going to be diving in deep, and so make sure to stay tuned. We also are going to be giving away some great prizes. So after this edition of PreSonus Live, at the end, we're going to be announcing the winners of the Quantum 2, as well as a pair of Eris 44 studio monitors. So if you want to be eligible to win, all you have to do is share this link, this PreSonus Live link, on either Facebook or Twitter, but you have to make sure you put hashtag PreSonus Live, and you'll be in the running to win either the Quantum 2 or the Eris 44. So we're going to take a look at the first group of products and check this out.
StudioLive Series 3 console mixers deliver unprecedented power in digital mixing. Now get that power in a compact rack mixer that also doubles as a networked stage box. StudioLive Series 3 rack mixers mean compact power and flexibility. It means one device for multiple uses. It means space-saving 1 and 2U designs. It means Series 3 professional quality sound. Series 3 rack mixers can be run standalone or as a stage box for the Series 3 console mixers. In stage box mode, you can choose to operate as a dedicated stage box or combination stage box and monitor mixer. Directly connect with the console mixer using a single Ethernet cable or use the SW5E AVB switch. With built-in AVB and USB connections and the pristine recallable X-Max preamps, the Series 3 rack mixers also shine as an audio interface in the studio, and they each include Studio One Artist DAW software with preamp and fat channel control integration. Record your performance with or without a computer using the built-in stereo SD card recorder or multi-track via USB with the included Capture live recording software. Compact 2U 32 and 24 channel models include the full 32 channel mixing DSP with 16 flex mixes. An even more compact 1U 16 channel model is also available with 16 channels of DSP and 6 flex mixes. All 3 models feature the Series 3 fat channel with vintage EQ and compressor models on all inputs. This is a new era in digital mixing. This is StudioLive.
All right, guys, we're back, and I'm here with the illustrious Ray Tanzen.
Hello.
Senior Product Manager for all of our digital consoles and mixers, and also AKA The Beard. So here he is. So Ray, really excited about these new rack mixers. So tell us a little bit about them.
Sure. So we have 3 new models of rack mixers. These are the new Series 3 rack mixers. So it's built out of the same DSP as the Series 3 console mixers. So that means that you get all the new fat channel processing, which includes the different compressor and EQ models. So this is the state space model EQs. You know, you've got the actual circuit emulated models available on all of your input channels.
Awesome.
You also get the flex mixes. So your mix outputs or flex mixes, they can be aux mixes, subgroups, or matrix mixes.
Right.
And they're Series 3, so we have SD card recording. On the rack mixers, the SD card recording is stereo, so you can choose your main mix or any of your other stereo mixes to record to the SD card on the rack mixers. We have USB connectivity, so you can connect it to your computer for multi-track recording over USB.
Right.
We also have AVB, so you can do multi-track AVB and audio networking that way as well.
That's awesome. So the 3 models, this is the 24. You have the 24 analog ins, and then on the back panel, you've got your flex mix output. So you've got,
That's right.
How many do we have on this one?
Yeah, so on the 24, your physical outputs are going to be your main left-right mix and then 12 of your flex mix outputs as physical outputs.
Okay. And then the 32, you've got 24 analog ins on the front, and then on the back you have all 16 flex mix outputs, right?
That's right, as well as your additional 8 inputs on the back panel. So we did that intentionally. We did a lot of research and we did a lot of observing of how people are using their rack mixers and talking to people. And one of the most important things that we took away as far as the physical design was the less rack spaces, the better. So we squeezed the 24 and the 32 channel rack mixers into 2U.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So not only do you get the benefits of it being in fewer rack spaces, but also there's some advantages of having some inputs on the back. Like if you've got wireless microphones that are in the same rack, you just come right into the back of them.
You know, that's huge. I mean, with my band, you know, we had been using the RM32 for years and loved it. It's a great product. But when we switched over to the Series 3, one of the coolest things is we use a lot of wireless in-ears and we use some wireless handheld mics, and all of those are in the same rack. And having, you know, the outputs on the back as well as 8 inputs on the back is nice because we don't have any cables running to the front of the rack anymore, which is just nice and tidy, if you will. And then we have the 16-channel Series 3 rack mixer, which is 1U.
Yeah, just a 1U on the 16
Crazy.
channel, which is awesome.
Yeah, so it's super
So if you've got just like a little portable 4U rack case, you can have your rack mixer. 16-channel mixer only takes up 1U. You've got your power conditioner. That's a second U. Then you've got 2U left for wireless mics, in-ears, all in a little 4U portable rack.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. And so, if you're a band that's doing any kind of fly dates, I mean, this is small enough that you can, put it in your overhead, take it on a plane. I mean, we have a lot of our touring endorsed artists from PreSonus that, have commented how awesome this is going to be to have that many inputs and outputs in a small package. So. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about some of the other functionality of the rack mixers.
Sure. So the 32 and the 24 are a full 32-channel DSP under the hood. So both of those have all 32 input channels available, as well as your 16 flex mixes and your 4 fixed subgroups. The 16-channel is strictly just a 16-channel mixer. It's got one fewer DSP in it, so it's just a 16-channel mixer on that one. But in addition to being a standalone mixer, they can also be stage boxes for the Series 3 console mixers.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I mean, I know with my own band, one of our kind of things is most of our gigs we use just a rack mixer because we're doing a lot of private gigs. A lot of times we're in a small, venue where they don't really want a front of house console setup, but we do play some clubs and some festivals where we do have the opportunity to set up a front of house position, and it's great on those. I mean, our sound guy would much rather mix with real faders than on an iPad. So it's nice, just one Ethernet cable from the stage to front of house, and now we turn the 32-channel rack mixer into a stage box, and he's mixing out front. It's super flexible in that way. And
and it's just a single cable, so one cable from the audio network port from the rack mixer to the audio network port of the console mixer, and you can turn on and off stage box modes. You can have full control over the preamps of the rack mixer, as well as your 48-volt phantom power, all from the console mixer.
So what about if I have a monitor guy on stage? Tell us about the monitor mode, which is really cool.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different modes that it can work in as a stage box. There's stage box mode, which it basically is just bypassing the DSP of the rack mixer and just giving you remote inputs and outputs.
Right.
And all mixing is done on the console mixer.
Console, right.
But then there's the monitor mix mode. And in monitor mix mode, you're actually using the rack mixer as a separate monitor mixer. So all of the inputs are available to the console mixer as inputs on the console mixer's remote inputs. And the console mixer's inputs are available as remote inputs to the rack mixer.
Right.
And the main left right of the rack mixer is going to be sourced from the console mixer's mix, so that's your front of house mix. But all of the mix outputs on the rack mixer are mixed separately in the rack mixer itself.
Right. So like you have a guy on stage with a tablet or a touch PC, or and he can be running monitors.
That's right.
Using the aux outputs of the rack mixer, but you still get the front of house aux outputs, right?
Yeah, so you essentially are doubling up your aux outputs. So you have, in the case, let's say you've got a 32-channel console front of house and a 32-channel rack mixer at stage. So you've got 16 flex mix outputs from the rack mixer on stage and 16 flex mix outputs from the console mixer at front of house. That's 32 flex mix outputs. And also because they're two separate mixers, all of your monitor mixing happening on the rack mixer has its own independent fat channel processing for all the individual channels.
That's great. So you can give the musicians what they need in their ears and not affect the front of house.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and vice versa. That's pretty cool. So you will control these, if you're using them just standalone, using UC Surface, the new version of UC Surface. So I know that for those of you that are using some of the original classic StudioLives and then the RM and the RML, you're used to mixing on the iPad and stuff, but there's some really cool features of UC Surface with these.
That's right.
Why don't you show us some tricks on UC Surface?
All right, let's take a look at UC Surface. All right, so anybody who has used UC Surface with our AI or RML mixers or with the Series 3 console mixers, you'll see a fairly similar experience and layout. We have the area for all your channel strips. We have the area to select all of your mixes. So you can see right now I'm plugged into the StudioLive 24R, but I still have all 16 of my Flex mixes available, right? And so as well as my 4 fixed subgroups. So that should all be fairly familiar to anybody who's seen that. Some of the things that you're going to see that are different is when you go through your fat channel here, if I select my compressor, for example, I can go in, I can choose my tube compressor. And so this will give me a different flavor of compressor to use on that channel. I can also choose a FET compressor. And then I also have those same options available as my EQ. So I've got the standard EQ. So on your inputs, your standard EQ is a 4-band, fully parametric.
Right.
But on the inputs, I can also choose to do a passive EQ.
Nice.
And again, these are all, you see the logo here, this is state space modeled. And so that is all actual circuit emulations of real analog outboard gear. And we also have a vintage EQ available as well. So this is a cool little 1970s era vintage EQ that has some real nice tone and flavor to your mix. And these are available on all of your inputs. So speaking of inputs, again, I'm on a 24 channel. You'll see as I get up to channel 24, after that, I still have 32 channels, but these ones will be available as returns from the network or from your USB.
Awesome. So if you're playing back tracks or something like that, you can bring those up on channels 25, 26, 27, all the way to 32.
That's right.
And have them available for people on their tablets and, route to monitors, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
It's very cool. Another thing that's kind of cool that I've noticed on the new Series 3 rack mixers is on the effects. Now you have the ability, first of all the effects are brand new.
That's right. Yeah. So we have kind of our standard, what we call the XL reverb. We also have the PAE 16 digital reverberator, and we have a 335 digital reverb. And we have a vintage plate reverb. But then in addition to the reverbs, we also have all of the different delays that are available.
So the 4 effects processors, one of the new features of the Series 3 is that you can choose all of them to be reverbs, or you can have any combination be reverb and delay. So you're not dealing with fixed 2 effects processors for reverb and 2 for delay. You could have 3 delays if you wanted, or 4 reverbs.
4 reverbs. Yeah, so I can just go right down the line here, and I can change this guy over here to be something else. So now I've got 3 different reverbs here, and then I've got 1 delay.
That's awesome. Very cool.
So that's the basics of UC Surface. Everything else is pretty much the same. You go into the settings here. You have your options to show your edit pop-ups, to show or hide your auto DCA filters. Your channel ID can be icons. It can be an icon plus a number or just a number. So if it's just a number, for example, you just get a nice big number here instead of having like a channel ID icon. So a lot of those same features and functions of UC Surface that we've always had, you're going to have all those same benefits here with the Series 3 rack mixers as well.
That's awesome. So the new rack mixers, rocking. They're going to be awesome. So speaking of networking, one of the other new products is this little guy
the SW5E.
Yes.
This is our AVB switch. So AVB is the audio network that we use as the standard protocol for our Series 3 mixers. And this is a 5-port AVB switch. So you can use this switch along with your console and rack mixers to set up an AVB network. This switch also works with the AI console mixers and RML rack mixers and the CS18 control surface, so you can use it with those as well. Because AVB is an intelligent network that offers precision clocking as well as guaranteed bandwidth, it requires a specialized AVB switch, because a switch is an active player in the network. It's helping to manage all the data as it's going around to make sure that you get that guaranteed bandwidth and that delivery of your time-sensitive traffic. So it allows you to achieve those super low latencies as well as not needing a degree in IT to be able to configure all kinds of different VLANs and
Blah, blah,
groups
blah.
and
Yeah,
port
exactly.
permissions and all that stuff. So this is the SW5E, 5 ports of AVB.
Right.
It's got the nice locking jacks on it for the Ethernet, and it also has PoE on 4 of those ports.
Oh, that's power over Ethernet.
That's right. So that allows you to connect devices that can be powered over Ethernet, usually like a smaller device that needs PoE.
Wonder what that might be. Stay tuned. Okay.
And it's also in this nice rugged design. It's got some screw holes on the bottom, so you can rack mount it into a standard rack mount shelf. But it is a hardcore, rugged,
Yeah, I mean, that was
live-worthy.
when I first saw this, I was like, man, did we like put like a rock inside this thing? I mean, it's heavy, and but you know, here's the thing: most of these type of products are, you know, when you talk about switches, and they're made to sit in some office. You know, they're cheap. They have wall warts. They're not meant for like the rigors of like, you know, the road, right? And so I was really happy with the way that this came out. I mean, you've got the locking jacks. You've got a real IEC cable. You can bludgeon somebody with it if you know, get mad at them. You know, so it really is pretty cool.
So when that drummer really starts to get out of time,
Yeah.
kidding, don't do that.
Don't
Yeah,
hurt
please
her,
don't do that.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so well, thanks for the time. So now what we're going to do is we're going to show another new PreSonus product that has recently come out, and this is the newest family member to the AR StudioLive family. So check this out. All right, we're back, and I'm with my good friend and product manager, Wesley Smith. So we're here to talk about the new AR22. But before we do that, I wanted to remind you that we are going to be giving away a Quantum 2 and a pair of Eris 44s. And Wesley, you're not eligible to win.
Why not?
Unfortunately, I know.
I don't think that's fair.
I know, that's
voicing
sorry.
my objection right now.
It's not my rules, but anyway. But if you do want to win, all you have to do is share this PreSonus Live video on Facebook or Twitter, and make sure you include the hashtag PreSonus Live. And in just a little while, we're going to give away the Quantum 2,
So
which
cool.
is so fine.
Someone's going to be so
And
lucky.
a pair, yeah, somebody's going to be stoked. So anyway, let's talk about the AR22. So this is the newest member of the AR family. Tell us a little bit about the AR22.
Okay. Well, just like the rest of the AR family, with the 8-channel, the 12-channel, the 16-channel, you have a bunch of mic preamps, you push your stereo input, Bluetooth, SD recording, and a full USB multi-track audio interface built into it. The AR22 has 16 mic preamps, so it's a full audio interface experience right there. You also have 4 analog inserts on the first 4 channels.
Very cool. So you can, you know, put in a compressor, gate, or whatever.
EQ. And because you have so many channels, we added 2 extra ones. On the 12 and the 16, you only get 2. So on the AR22, you actually get 4.
Great.
Of course, you have your instrument inputs on the first 2 channels, which is great. So you can plug your acoustic guitars straight in. You don't need to bring a DI box to the gig, which again saves a little bit on cost. And of course, you have your super channel, which is what makes the StudioLive AR so cool.
So it's this last stereo channel right here, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you have on the super channel? You've got RCAs?
RCA, 1/8-inch stereo, so
Right.
you have 2 stereo analog inputs. You also have 2 stereo digital inputs, so you can get a return from your computer, playback from your SD card. So think about an SD card loaded up with MP3s, how much playback music you'd have
Yeah,
during
you could have like
breaks.
thousands of songs on an SD card.
Or just pair up your phone on Bluetooth, which is really great and it's super handy at a gig.
Yeah, I mean, this has messed me up so many times. I mean, with an iPhone 7 where you don't have, you know, an analog headphone
Right.
output anymore, it's so nice to be able to have Bluetooth built in. I think every mixer in the world needs Bluetooth, but It's
I mean, anymore just makes sense. It's so much more convenient and easy.
Yeah.
You don't have to mess around with cables.
This is the new 4.1 Bluetooth too, so it sounds really good. I noticed the sound quality on this and the new Series 3 mixer Bluetooth is really nice sounding.
Absolutely.
So
That's one of the improvements they made. The other thing that you get on the AR mixers, of course, you have your monitor mixes.
so 2 auxes.
2 auxes with 2 balanced TRS outputs. You also have an effects send, so dedicated effects send out to a digital effects bus with a dedicated return, which
Right.
again, so it's great. You can mute it. There's a foot switch, so you can mute the effects during break. Get 16 presets. It's kind of meat and potatoes, reverbs, delays. You have a chorus built into it. You also have an effects output, which is really cool because if you're in a pinch and you need an extra monitor mix more than you need an effects mix, or if you
Right.
have a really nice outboard. Effects processor, you can use this and just bypass your internal effects.
That is so crazy. I like as many, well, it's been at least a year since we introduced the AR mixers, and I just learned this today, that in a pinch, you can use this effects output as a third aux send if you need, and that's pretty sweet.
Super
actually.
handy. So built into all the AR 22 mixer or AR mixers, so from the 8 all the way on up, you have a USB 2.0 audio interface, and it's a full multi-track recorder, 24-bit 96K, so you can record every single input plus the main mix.
That's nice.
So it's really great, and again with 16 mic preamps, that's a full band right there.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, where can you get a 24-bit 96K recording interface with 16 mic pre's for $7.99? I mean, that's like crazy in itself. Oh, and by the way, it's a live sound mixer too. So the other thing that was kind of neat is, when we first came out with the idea for StudioLive, one of the big things was that musicians want to be able to record, they want to be able to play live, they want to be able to take tracks that they've recorded in the studio and perform with them. And this basically now fulfills that same vision of the original StudioLive, except at just a crazy great price point.
Right, and it's analog, it's really easy to use, it's very familiar, and you do have 2 stereo returns coming back from your computer, so
That's
if you want to use
nice.
one for a click and one for backing tracks, you can use that.
And you can bring it up on faders
Yep.
and assign them to auxes, and yeah, it's just a really cool little mixer. Well, that's awesome. Well, thanks for showing that to us. In a second, Wesley's going to be back, and we're going to show you another brand new product from PreSonus, the Eris 3.5. Check it out. All right, we're back, and we're here with the brand new little baby Eris 3.5s.
That's right.
So tell us a little bit about these new studio monitors.
Okay, well, these are smaller versions of the Eris E4.5s. So you have a 3.5-inch Kevlar woofer, 1-inch silk dome tweeter, so you're going to get nice tight low end with a smooth upper end, just like all of the Erises. Just like the 4.5s, you have an 1/8-inch aux input, so you can plug your iPhone or what have you directly
iPod
into it.
Yeah.
Of course, you have your headphone jack, and the cool thing about this headphone jack is it's a headphone amplifier, but it bypasses your speakers, so that's what makes it great for like a dorm room or a home studio where it gets late and you need to start listening with headphones. You can plug in your headphones,
And it automatically
turns these off, switches it, and you're listening to the same mix.
that's sweet.
Really easy.
And then you got a master volume right here. Cool.
And just like the E4.5s, there is an active speaker and a passive speaker. And so the active speaker is actually powering itself, and then the passive speaker with some speaker cable. You have a couple of different inputs. You have either balanced 1/4 inch input or RCA inputs. Makes it really easy to figure out, you know, switch between them.
And then the 1/8 inch on the front.
And the 1/8 inch on the front, that's right. And you can have all three going simultaneously, they sound. You have a couple of little EQ controls. You have a high shelf EQ and a low shelf EQ. Those are like treble and bass controls in your car stereo.
Right.
So super easy to dial in. Obviously, you don't want to use them unless you're trying to either just use it, listen to it for pleasure, or if you're trying to like get rid of a little, you know, too much boominess or you don't want to use it to fix your mix though.
Right.
And that's about it. They're just great little speakers, super portable, nice lightweight.
Yeah, I mean, of course you can't really hear them over the internet, but when I heard them, the one thing that the first time I heard them, I literally was like, oh, wait a minute, like, is there a sub? I mean, I almost thought there was a subwoofer. Like, it was like there was a depth there. They don't sound like they look. They look like tiny little speakers, and they had a really full sound.
But if you do want to add a sub, the T8 with these is great, especially for using them as a gaming system or something, a little Tembler T8.
Yeah, and then the other thing that I thought was really cool is it has the same amplifier as the 4.5, so they get loud for how small they are. So, and then the best price is under $100. I mean, that's crazy good for what they are. And the other thing is that when the tone or the EQ controls are set to flat, they're flat speakers. They sound like the rest of the Eris family.
Yep. We don't have that scooped out mids. A lot of these sub $500 studio monitors
they
these days,
got the smiley face.
And so then your mix is never quite right. I just fell victim to that myself the other day. I was working on a mix and it sounded great in my speakers, and then I put in my car stereo and it had absolutely no low end at all. So I'm going to have to go ahead and power on my big speakers instead of my low ones.
No, I know that. So that's really great with these. All right, so that is the new Eris 3.5. So let's check out some more stuff. All right, we're back, and I'm here with product manager Eric Welch.
Hey, everybody.
Also, the sound guy of my band, Fat Hat, amazing engineer. But also, he's the product manager for the brand new Quantum 2. So, Quantum Thunderbolt interfaces. Tell us a little bit about sort of what the vision was behind these.
The vision for both Quantums, the Quantum 1 and the new Quantum 2, is that we want the fastest interface to your computer direct to DAW with nothing in the way. So you're getting round-trip latencies on these guys at sub 2 milliseconds over the Thunderbolt 2 bus. So it's sound quality, it's speed, and it's aggregation with our dual Thunderbolt ports on the back, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Right on. So basically, the Quantum 2 is like a smaller brother to the big Quantum. What's the main difference between them?
It is. The main difference between it is you still have 2 mic pre's on the front. These are mic and instrument. And then on the back, you have an additional 2 mic pre's, which are mic or line. And the difference between the 2 and the original Quantum is this has 4 less mic pre's, so it's designed to be more for your desktop and more mobile.
Right.
But all of your digital I/O, you still have 18 channels of digital I/O with the SPDIF here, and your 2 ADAT ports is the same as its big brother.
Right.
You still have clocking, we kept that intact. You have 4 line outputs, and you can control all those with the knob on the front.
Right on. That's great. And then I notice, just like the Quantum 1, the mic pre's are digitally controllable.
Exactly.
So, so
And recallable.
Okay, so this is recallable. So that's a huge benefit. I mean, I know in the past when I've worked on projects, you know, a lot of times you'll be like, you know, a month later, you know, you want to recut a drum track or you want to recut a vocal, and you're like, ooh, you know, wonder how I had that, you know, the mic preset.
That's right.
And you know, what was the gain, and with this way you can actually have it. So if you're using it with Studio One, and we're going to show that in just a few minutes, you actually have all of the preamp controls embedded into Studio One.
Right, and they're also saved in your Studio One session.
That's freaking
So
great.
when you open that session back up, doesn't matter if you've used the Quantum, the 1 or the 2 for a different session in between, it's going to come back to exactly what you had it set in that last session.
Nice. Now, if you're using it with Pro Tools, Cubase, Logic, there's a way you can recall the preamp settings and control it as well.
That's
right?
true. When we show you the control panel for the Quantum, there's a feature that is basically MIDI preamp control. So it allows any DAW to control the preamps with MIDI messages. And therefore, that MIDI information is also stored in any DAW that you use or any session.
That's right on. Now, okay, so, you know, we talk about latency and, you know, this whole thing about speed and that kind of a thing. What would you say is the biggest benefit of having an interface that has such low latency like the Quantum?
Well, the biggest benefit is, you know, you take the latency factor out of the way. So you don't have to worry about whether you're input monitoring a track or you have to monitor it off an analog console. It's basically, you know, it's so instantaneous that you can play along while recording the track with the track arm, listening back from your DAW.
And with plugins,
With
too.
plugins,
Yeah. That there's a computer company in Australia that does benchmark testing, and they did a benchmark test of the Quantum, and the real-time latency spec on this interface actually came out beating every other Thunderbolt interface on the market.
That's right.
So that's pretty cool, and we're really happy about that. I think another big part is the fact you mentioned having the dual Thunderbolt jacks. So this is
That's
something
right.
that...
So these have, sorry to interrupt you, Rick, but these do dual purpose. So you connect your computer to one Thunderbolt port, and the other port will let you attach a peripheral such as a monitor or hard drive that's Thunderbolt.
Right.
But the one thing that you can also use it for is you can stack up to 4 Quantums together through Thunderbolt to build giant I/O systems. So with the Quantum 1, you could have up to 96 inputs and outputs.
Right.
And with the Quantum 2, you can get 80.
That's pretty crazy. Okay, so another big component of the Quantum is the fact that you can control it using UC Surface.
That's right.
So this is the same software that we use to control all of the StudioLive mixers, the Studio 192. And the other thing that's cool about it is that you can also control it with your iPad or Android, because we make UC Surface available for iPad or Android. So the benefit of this, which I think is really great, is, you know, if you're a guy that is recording yourself, which a lot of times when I'm tracking, you know, doing guitar overdubs or something like that, I'm by myself. I don't have an engineer hanging out, you know. So what I have to do is, if I'm in a different room even, as long as I'm connected to the same Wi-Fi network as my computer, I can, you know, basically have UC Surface running on my iPad or Android.
You can set your preamp gains. You can, you know, select your headphone outputs, all from UC Surface.
That's pretty awesome. And if you're using Studio One, the other benefit is Studio One Remote for iPad and Android also will control the Quantum just as it does. It controls any of our digitally recallable mic pre products. So Studio 192s can also be controlled like this, and all of the StudioLive mixers, the Series 3 and the RM mixers. So let's have a look at UC Surface and see what it looks like for the Quantum 2.
All right.
All right, so this is UC Surface with the Quantum 2.
Right, this is the control panel for the Quantum 2. You can see your controls for your 4 mic preamps. And you have your controls for your phantom power. The first two are by default in the instrument position.
Okay.
So once you connect a XLR cable to either the front two inputs, these 48-volt buttons will also become available.
Oh, that's cool. So it automatically knows when you plug in an XLR.
That's right. If you have an XLR connected, it's going to be a mic pre. If you connect a 1/4-inch cable or a balance cable, it's going to bypass the mic pre and go straight to the converter.
Nice. Nice.
And then up at the top here, you can see you have your input and output meters.
Nice.
Across the bottom, the first thing you look at says main knob controls. By default, that main knob controls output 1 and 2. By selecting 3 and 4, you're now controlling all 4 outputs of the Quantum 2.
Okay. So if you had, like, let's say, you know, multiple studio monitors hooked up
Exactly.
and you wanted to hear them all at the same time, you could.
You could do that, yep.
Cool.
Next, we have the SPDIF output mirrors the main. So whatever's going to you have set as the main output will also come out the SPDIF jack.
That's nice.
Very handy feature on this next panel. This is for your headphone source. Now, when it's illuminated yellow, this means that you are in headphone source A, which will always be whatever is selected as your main output. By clicking there, and you can also do this on the front panel of the Quantum as well, you can set the output source for channel B to be any other output available from the interface.
Oh, nice. And you can just toggle between
And then
them.
you can toggle between the two from the headphone jack.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then finally here in the bottom right-hand side, this is where you would activate your MIDI control messages for using a DAW other than Studio One to remote control the preamps.
Sweet.
And up here at the top, we have also included for you a RTA on every input and output. That's a
awesome.
real-time analyzer. Has a correlation meter and an overall level meter as well.
That's awesome. And then I see there's an ADAT button up there.
There is, absolutely. This is, so if you connect a DP88 from the PreSonus family, that also has remote control preamps, these will populate. And you can control up to 2 DP88s per Quantum unit.
Oh man, that's awesome. So really, it's controlling the DP88 over the ADAT light pipe
Through the Thunderbolt.
through the Thunderbolt.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's slick. So all of your controls can be right there. That's awesome. So one of the really cool features is how you can control the Quantum within Studio One without even having to look at a control panel.
Exactly. So we have selected our Quantum 2 template here with our Quantum 2 selected as our interface. And we have 4 channels for our 4 analog inputs. And at the top of each channel, you'll see there's a level setting for the preamp,
Nice.
a phase reversal, and a 48-volt button.
Nice.
And that is built into Studio One. So you never have to look at the control panel. You never even have to touch your hardware interface.
And those preamp settings will get saved with your song. Right?
Absolutely. When you save the song, the preamp settings will stay.
All right. Well, that was very cool. So Quantum 2 shipping now.
Mm-hmm.
And also, just real quick, we talked about, the fact that you can do tons of inputs. You can go all the way up to 192K with either of these. But specifically the converters, these are brand new converters.
These are brand new converters for us. So the top is the most dynamic range we've ever put in a converter in a product, and that's 120 dB on the input and the output.
Right on. So that makes a huge difference for
Big difference.
guys that are, doing really, really, crucial recordings. This is definitely a pro piece of gear. So
Absolutely.
thanks, man. So next
problem.
we have one of the and actually a great companion product for the Quantum 1 or Quantum 2 is the brand new FaderPort 16. Check it out. All right, and we're back. So first of all, I want to introduce the newest member to the PreSonus product management team. This is Oscar Garza.
Hey, everybody.
And he's going to be showing us the new FaderPort 16 in a couple minutes. By the way, this is your last opportunity. If you tuned in late, we're going to be giving away a Quantum 2 Thunderbolt interface and a pair of Eris 44s to 2 lucky people. So all you have to do, and it's not too late, you can do it right now. All you have to do is share this PreSonus Live link in your Facebook or Twitter feed and make sure you put hashtag PreSonus Live, and we're going to be giving away both of those products in just a little while. So first of all, let's talk about the FaderPort 16. So tell us about, this is the newest member in the FaderPort family?
It's the newest addition to the FaderPort family. We've had the FaderPort 8 that just came out recently.
Yep.
And I'm sure you know the original FaderPort has a legacy all of its own. Been around for, what, 10 years now? Something like that?
Probably close to 10 years,
It's
yeah.
been, and I've seen it in every studio out there.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
they're great. And you know, it's interesting, the whole idea of having a bigger FaderPort is probably one of the most requested products we've ever had. Anytime we would do a teaser video and try to, you know, get customers to guess, they would always, please make a FaderPort 8. And then after we made the FaderPort 8, people were like, please make a FaderPort 16. So, you know, here it is.
Guess what? Here it is. That's
Yeah.
right. And the way I like to look at it is that this really is the control surface for that producer that does everything.
Right,
I mean, you know that type. You go into their studio, and what do they have on their desk?
right.
A ton of stuff. MIDI controllers, audio interfaces, you name it. And if they were to try to go in and fit in a 16-channel controller on top of that, you pretty much have to wipe
Yeah, right.
everything off the table, and bam, all you have is that. FaderPort 16 is different. This actually enables you to still have all the advanced features that you have in a control surface, but it's also desktop studio friendly. So you can still use it in addition to all the other gear that you love to use across the board. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about FaderPort 16.
Totally.
So remember those first 8 faders that you had before?
Yes.
How about 8 more?
Now you have 16.
Now you got
That's right.
16.
Yep.
Right, so these are all touch-sensitive, motorized faders. We've also added additional 8 scribble strip displays up top.
Sure.
So every channel, you'll be able to see channel name, you'll be able to see metering, panning, volume, and also we'll go into it in a second, but you'll be able to see your plugin parameters as well too. So you can go through and program all of your plugins directly from here. So we have our scribble strip displays, and try saying that quickly. 16 scribble strips.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
But then kind of our special sauce is our whole section, session navigator area. So from here, I'll give you a quick demo of that. So right now we're in channel mode, and if you look over on Studio One, I can use my encoder to go through and select. Yeah, it just scrolls through my session. In my mixer, you can see what's selected or what's not selected. And because we're dealing with banks of 16, I can also use my previous and next buttons to switch my bank over one by one. Or if I wanted to move 16 over,
16 at a time.
Just go into bank, and then I can move all 16 over as well too.
Sweet.
So yeah, we have channel control, we have bank control. If I want to go through and zoom in at my cursor, I hit my zoom button, and then the encoder will go through and zoom in, zoom out. Yeah, and then I can use my previous and next buttons again to zoom in and out on the track height, basically.
Sweet.
Scrolling, that goes through my timeline. So I can scroll backwards and forwards through the timeline. We covered bank a second ago. If you have a master fader, you hit master, and then you always have control over your master fader right there.
Great. So then this blue knob becomes your master fader.
That's right. It becomes your master, and then if you need to pop that back up to 0 again, you just tap it and it pops right back up again.
Nice.
So yeah. Section allows us to nudge. So if I were to go through here and select this here section, go over to section, I can nudge over by whatever's predetermined in the DAW that you're using. And that being said, obviously our FaderPort 16 works amazing with Studio One, right? We have that special sauce working between the two, two
special
applications.
Cajun sauce.
Special Cajun sauce, even with that. But we also do support the MCU protocol.
Mackie Control Universal.
Yeah, so Logic, Sonar, Cubase, Ableton Live are all supported in there. Huey as well for Pro Tools users want to use it. So definitely we cover a lot of different DAWs, cover a lot of ground. And you still have a ton of flexibility and 16 faders.
right?
Beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. And then the last thing on the session, I keep on saying section, area is our marker button. So when we have marker enabled, then I can go through and actually place a marker I'll scroll through the timeline with the button, and then if I push down on the encoder,
It'll throw a marker down.
it'll drop down a new marker, just like
That's
that.
great. So like even while the song's playing, like if you're listening and you hear a mistake or you hear something you want to go to, you just have the marker button on while you're playing, and as you're going, you can go boop,
Drop them right in.
boop, drop in markers.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then navigating them, you just use the arrow keys, and you can
Go
jump
from
back
one
and forth.
marker. That's
Yeah,
great.
from there. So yeah, that's the session navigator. Super helpful. A lot of flexibility built into it. We also have right above that our automation area, so I can easily go into automation read mode, write, touch, latch, depending on your
your
DAW again,
modes.
which ones that you're doing, or shut it off altogether. We'll go over some of the other basic functions. So solos, super simple, right?
Right.
But what if you have a ton of solos and
Mm-hmm.
you want to go through and clear them all at the same time? That's why we have solo clear.
Solo clear.
That's right.
That's right.
So that'll get rid of all of those. Same thing with mutes. You can go through and select our different mutes.
And
Mute
if you
clear.
want to mute clear, you can clear all of them with one button.
That's right. Arming our tracks, we go into arm mode. We can arm individual tracks, or if you hold down shift and arm all, then it'll go through and arm all
Arm all the
from
tracks.
there.
That's
That's right.
nice.
And then you can go through there and just shut them all off as well too. So
Cool.
pretty simple, but intuitive. I think that's the more important thing, right?
Yes.
Simple and intuitive, because there are other controllers out there that there's just different layers and kind of a couple of maneuvers that you have to do just to get certain things to work.
Right.
On the surface, we try to be as intuitive as possible to make sure that you just get it and you can start working immediately with it.
That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Last couple things, I talked about editing plugins a little bit earlier. So all you have to do is hit the edit plugin button right here. And then if you look up, I have one plugin right now on this first track, and it's a compressor. So if I had multiple plugins here, you would actually see each of the plugins.
all of your plugins right there.
that are there. And you just hit the select button for the one that you want to go through and edit.
And it pops out all of the parameters.
Pops out, and then you'll see all the parameters up here. So each of these faders is controlling
One of those parameters.
yeah, so like right now, what do we have here? We have the ratio set up here. We have our threshold, knee, and then the buttons as well. You look on the top side of it, and that
lets
shows
you know all of the parameters.
exactly. So if I wanted to throw on auto gain, I just hit that button and bam.
And that makes it very easy to actually automate the plugin parameters, right?
Sure.
So you could, if you wanted to, if it was a delay and you wanted to automate feedback, you could be in this mode. You would have now the feedback on an actual fader,
Right.
and then you could go ahead and turn turn on your automation from right here and write some automation
Yeah.
straight to that plugin.
Easy peasy, really easy to work with.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely. So that's edit plugins. We also have control over our sends. So if I switch into sends mode, once again, dependent on how many buses or sends that you have set up, you select the one that you want to go through and edit, and then the faders go through and control the level for
Send
any
levels.
of those buses as well too.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great piece. I've been using it kind of on the DL for the last few weeks, and it's definitely sped up my workflow. I love it, and I think anybody out there that, once again, is using any of those DAWs that supports MCU, UE, of course, our own native Studio One, is going to have an amazing time with the FaderPort 16.
Right. So really, it's just a great update to the FaderPort 8 for people that wanted more faders.
Sure.
But it still has the same basic functionality, same workflow, and just really, it seems like just a huge time saver. And there's so many things now. I mean, obviously, you can do any of this stuff with a mouse, but there's just something about, I don't know, I'm kind of old school in the fact that, when I'm listening and writing automation, I'm writing a vocal and automating a vocal, all through. It's just so much easier
Right.
to do it. Now, of course, you can draw in points and automate everything with a mouse, but there's just something about that tactile control that is really
Well, and that's the
nice.
thing, too. We talked about it earlier. I mean, this is desktop friendly, right?
Yes.
So you still can have both of them. I mean, I've seen so many rigs where you have a larger controller and you have to, set up your keyboard off to the side or come up
Yeah.
with some platform to
Yeah.
put your keyboard and mouse on. I mean, look, everything is compact. It fits right here.
Yep.
It's
And-
good to go.
And really, 16 faders is perfect for, most applications when you wanted more than 8.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to be giving away the Quantum 2 and the pair of Eris 44s, so stick around.
speed of sound. It roars through our atmosphere at an incredible 767 miles per hour. Working with sound creatively means breaking barriers and gaining speed. Do you have what it takes to keep up?
All right, we're back. So before we tell you who the prize winners are, I want to go ahead and acknowledge some questions that have come in, and I'm going to try to get to as many of these as possible. So put on my my old guy glasses. You guys haven't seen me with these yet, probably. So anyway, so we've got a question from somebody asking, is the Quantum 2 rack mountable? So yes, it is. We don't actually make a rack kit for it, but it is designed to work with any universal rack tray. Another person wanted to know, what is the exact latency of the Quantum? So there are two kind of review or benchmarks that have been done publicly. One is the latest, actually it was September edition of Sound on Sound magazine. So I'm just reading basically the reviewer that did that review, tested it on the Mac, and his latency finding at 32 samples was 1.9 milliseconds round trip. So 1 millisecond was input and 0.9 was the output. So 1.9 milliseconds round trip. We also have another independent kind of DAW benchmark guy in Australia named DawBench. They, basically do shootouts and reviews of different recording interfaces, and he also has measured the PreSonus Quantum using. Now he did his test on Windows 10 x64, so he found at 32 buffers he got a round trip latency of 2.085 milliseconds. So pretty much the same. So 2 milliseconds is more or less the answer to that question. I'm actually on my machine finding about that at 32 buffers as well. I have a 2015 MacBook Pro, and I'm running a Quantum 2 currently, and getting right around 2 milliseconds as well. So it's pretty crazy how great the performance is on the Quantum in general. Okay, some other questions. Waves plugins, are they available on Series 3 mixers? So there's two ways to get Waves plugins on Series 3 mixers. Number one is you can use the standard USB or AVB protocol to send any channel of your Series 3 rack mixer or console mixer to a computer, hit some Waves plugins, and come back and bring those channels up. And so basically you're using kind of like a hardware insert. There is some amount of latency that'll be generated because it's working as an interface in that way. One thing that is really exciting is we have been told by Waves that they're going to be coming out with a new AVB to SoundGrid adapter. So Waves makes these great external servers, and essentially it allows you to run their plugins live at basically no latency or very, very little latency. And so, you know, what we have done is we've been working with them, and we actually beta tested an AVB to SoundGrid product that they had earlier in the year. And I was just told by somebody over there that they are actually going to be coming out with this in 2018. So this is going to be great for Series 3 customers. They'll be able to basically buy this and connect directly to a SoundGrid server. So as we get more information about that, we'll definitely let you guys know, and we'll probably do a PreSonus Live showing how it works as well. Okay, next question. Let's see here. When are we getting DAW control for the Series 3 mixers? That's probably, if I had $1 for, you know, every time somebody asked me that question, I'd be a rich man. But the good news is that we are actually going to be going into beta, and we're going to be doing a public beta in November. So if you're a Series 3 customer, you'll be able to download a beta version of the firmware to try out. And it will allow you to control Studio One using the DAW button on your Series 3 console. We're going to do about 30 days of a public beta, and then hopefully it'll be released publicly in December. But one of the cool things about the way that we do public betas is that there is a private forum where, you know, customers can essentially give us feedback if they find anything, and our developers are basically on that forum, and you know, it makes the process very, very quick for us to get feedback back from people, and it's probably been one of the most requested features. Now, the plan right after we release Studio One compatibility with DAW mode is the next step is we're going to be releasing third-party DAW support using MCU and Huey protocol. So right around the time that we release the Studio One final firmware, we're also going to be implementing a public beta at that time of MCU and Huey. So if you're on Pro Tools and Logic, Cubase, any of the other DAWs, you'll be able to check out that firmware, and hopefully the plan is by the time we get into the new year, all of this stuff will be out publicly and be ready to roll. All right, so now the moment you've been waiting for, we're going to be giving away two really, really cool prizes: the Quantum 2 Thunderbolt interface, the Eris 44 studio monitors, and also a full copy of Studio One Professional. So first, let's give away Studio One Professional. And the lucky winner of Studio One Professional is Josh Cumby. Thanks, Josh. Hope you enjoy Studio One. The next one we're going to give away are the pair of Eris studio monitors. So these are the MTM dual woofer with the tweeter in the middle. And that is going to go to, the lucky guy is Damian Smith. Congratulations, Damian. And the last but not least, grand prize winner of the Quantum 2 Thunderbolt interface with 2 milliseconds of latency is, drumroll, Jake Azeltine. Jake, congratulations. Hope you enjoy your Quantum. So just to let everybody else know, we really appreciate you tuning in, watching all of the stuff that we've been up to. It's been a crazy, crazy year. We've had 17 new products come out since the beginning of the year. 6 products in the last 6 weeks. It's been nuts. So we're really excited about 2018. We have a lot of new stuff happening, both in hardware and software, and lots of new updates for Studio One. Lots of new updates for all of the recording interfaces, rack mixers, all kinds of stuff happening. So we're moving really fast, but we are. We're putting out stuff that hopefully you guys like, and that's why we do what we do. So I'm actually going to be on my way right now to a PreSonus event, and I want to encourage you. We are doing a lot of public events right now. So if you go to PreSonus.com, and I think it's the community tab, or anyway, you'll see a list of all of our events. I believe it's PreSonus.com/events. Correct me if that's right or wrong. Anyway, PreSonus events on our website. Go check it out. you'll see a ton of public events that we're doing all over, not just the country, but all over the world. So tonight we're in Baton Rouge doing a sound workshop at a local church here, but literally almost every other day we're all over the country and all over the world doing stuff. So come out, hang with us live, and thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time on PreSonus Live.
I have a wonderful electronic invention I want you to see. It looks something like this.